Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits, and I wanted to share our final video from the Advanced Admin Study Group that we did here over the last 13 weeks. There's 12 videos. We skipped 1 week in that mix, but for those of you who are studying for the Advanced Admin Study Group, I hope that you have found these videos to be helpful to you. Also, I have to confess, I kind of messed up this particular video. I didn't quite get it recorded like I thought I had, and we are missing the first few minutes of Patrick's presentation. My bad. The rest of the video, after the presentation, we go into a series of Q&A. I think we had a handful of questions there that gave everybody a chance to kind of think through the process of determining the correct answers to questions. Those questions are available out on terrystidbits.com. You're welcome to take those. Those are at no cost to the community, so it's purely my gift and way of saying thank you for subscribing. Thank you for taking time to listen to me rattle. It really is out there as a resource for you, so take advantage of it if you choose to. Let's jump into this last session. Thanks again. Please subscribe to the channel. I hope that you will continue to follow and support the efforts that I am doing out here. Thank you again so much for the words of encouragement, and for those of you who have passed exams from previous study groups that I've led, congratulations. I'm looking forward to hearing from those of you who are listening to this series and also finding success out there in the Salesforce world. So thank you again. Take a listen.
So this would be, I changed my status of an opportunity. I want a field under that same record to then update to a different value. So I know traditionally I would work on that in a process builder, but it is now recommended that a before save flow is the best place to put this. So it's going to perform better because the records fields values are already logged into the memory of the system. And it's just easier to do this stuff. You already have it before the save actually happens. The main limitation of these before save flow triggers is they don't have all the functionality we need. So you can query records, loop, evaluate formulas, assign variables, and perform decisions to make some of those underlying records, but you cannot extend this to then kick off an Apex. So that's where you need to use the after save. You can not use a before save to then kick off any Apex. So anything you want to do in the before save, you have to do and then save it and then kick off an Apex trigger from there. So I guess recommended for this one would be the before save trigger, as long as you can do everything without having to have an Apex trigger involved. So that's same record field updates. Next one, high performance batch processing. So this would be, we have batch records, a lot of records that we're processing all at once. So to get the most out of this, it's going to recommend that you use Apex and its debugging to do this. So some examples of this complex logic and where to use it is defining and evaluating extremely complex logical expressions and formulas, or complex list processing, so loading or changing a bunch of data, or looping data over and over and over. So Salesforce on this one is going to say use Apex, but you can also use before save flow to get this done. Cross-object CRUD. So this would be, I update my opportunity and I need to update something on an associated record. So this would be update the account, change the status of their customer because the opportunity is closed won. So the only tool that doesn't support this is the before save flow trigger. So that is not an option here. Salesforce does say Apex would outperform the flow in this instance, but it's not significantly. So I think Apex is probably the highest performing, number one recommended, but you can easily do the same thing in a record change flow after save as well. So that would be Salesforce recommended there. Complex list processing. So there's some limitations in Flow today that we cannot use Flow to do some of this complex list processing. So Flow is just limited in the basic list of processing operations that I have out of the box. And there's no way to reference an item in Flow collections, either by index or by using Flow's loop. So that is, I guess, two key points as to why for complex list processing, Salesforce is saying Apex triggers for that. Custom validation errors cannot even be done using Flow. So these are Apex triggers. So basically saying, I want to evaluate my data, fire a validation error if it comes to it. So Flow limitation is not able to prevent that in the DMLs or the little objects that you're choosing. So it can't throw custom errors. So if you want to set validation, we'll have to use an Apex trigger for that. Then the last one I have here is asynchronous processing. So this is executing tasks in the background without the user having to wait for the task to finish. So it's essentially multitasking is the way I understand this one, is doing all this other stuff at the same time before doing it one by one by one by one. So Flow doesn't really have a way to do this. So if you think of how you design flows, you're connecting all the boxes to each other and they're running in sequence. This would be a lot of those running at once. So another one where Apex trigger is the best and recommended way to do that. So run back here and really look at this. I think knowing Apex triggers can do pretty much everything is key, and it's recommended, but I could see a lot of questions being formulated of asking about the before save trigger. So I'm doing a same field update. What's the best tool to use it? And I could see a before save flow, after save flow, process builder workflow being on there and having to select the best one. So as I mentioned, I'd really study this, understand which each of these categories are, and the best tool, recommended tool, available tool that you can use. I think that's where you'll see a lot of these questions being asked for this topic. Any questions on any of that? I'm going to breeze through it, but it's the high level one. Nothing.
Sounds like you did a good job.
Yeah, no, and I will, Terry sent me a good article link, so I'll add that on one of my last slides to reference. I told Terry it was an interesting one to read just from a philosophy. I know me as a admin helped change my mindset as I'm creating some of these automations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fairly new article from the architecture site that Salesforce has put out recently. I think they still say it's in beta, but it is a really good resource for knowing what automation tool to use. Salesforce will on your exam, you're not going to see choose the best of scenario if there's multiple right answers. There's always going to be a right answer or a wrong answer, not a which is the better of choices. So I would anticipate questions along this line being, what tools can you use? And knowing that Apex would be one, a trigger could be one of them, Flow could be one of them, or knowing when you need to not be using declarative functionality and just go straight to code. I think that's going to be kind of the key pieces there that you'll probably run into. So awesome. Any questions that you all have before we jump into actually going through some review?
My question is, it's a comment, Terry and Patrick, too. I guess I'll put it in the form of a question. I want to make sure I'm correct. And this is about before save record triggered flows. So the way I think about it, and this is where I'm looking for a thumbs up or a correction, if you're doing a new record, if you're creating a new record, and you have something before save, that record doesn't have an ID, because that's what happens when you do save. Therefore, that's going to limit what you can or can't do. So in my mind, as I try to think about what can I do with the before save, if I'm creating a new record, I have to go after save because I need that record ID to then do something else. Is that the right way to think about it? Or so I'm trying to tie it in with the order of execution, and what without just trying to memorize a chart, I'm trying to understand the why behind the what, because then things just make sense to me as opposed to trying to memorize a chart. Do you have any other recommendations on ways to think about before save versus after save on record trigger flows?
Do you want to take a stab at that first, Carla, or do you want me to?
Try. I think, yeah, I think that you're mostly right on, George. I think your comment about needing that ID later on is very key, right? If you're going to be creating child records from that record, you need the ID to relate them together. So that would have to be done in an after save. But I agree. I think there are definite use cases for the before and after, but understanding that is key.
Yeah, the way that, if you've seen me do the presentation on from Process Builder to Lightning Record Trigger Flows, you will have heard me say this multiple times, that the before record trigger flow is if you are updating a value on the object that triggered the flow, that's a before. Anything else is going to be in the after. Yeah. If you're updating or interacting with any other record, then it's going to be in the after. And Salesforce, granted, you can't have Salesforce open when you're doing the exam, but the flow does a very nice job of limiting you with the elements that they present to you. So that you're before, you won't have the ability to create a record there. Actually, I think that's false with the new release, though. I think they are giving you that capability in the. Might have to double check me on that. I remember reading something where it sounded like you would have the ability to do more than just an assignment now in the before, but I haven't gone too deep in that. So, but a good rule of thumb, if you're interacting with the record that triggered the flow, it's before. Anything else is after. Good question. Other questions from anybody? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up our exam. Share that. Hopefully you are seeing that. And our first question is on the screen, but let me grab the list of everybody so that I can call on you. And which one was that? That was this one. Sorry. Oh, come on. That is not working. Let me try that again. Oh my word. Come on, Google. Thank you. And back to the exam. Okay. And you're seeing that still okay, right? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're just going to start through at the top of my list. And Algie, you are the first one on my list. Andrew, you'll be second. George, Marciana, Matt, Patrick, Rebecca, Scott, Tanner. So you are pretty much in alphabetical order. So Algie, this is your first one. If you're not sure, it's okay not to be sure. Okay. You're willing to open up the floor and ask others for their opinion if you choose to. Okay. So and if you are not sure, if any of you aren't sure and you have a question on it, then certainly bring it up and we can talk through the issue as well. So go ahead. I'll do your first question.
Okay. First question, I think the option A.
Option A.
Option A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts from anyone else on this one?
I would go with E, record types.
Okay.
This is George. I second Tanner. Because the data categories are for search, right? Isn't that what the data categories are going to help you with? The record types, if you're going to classify different types of articles. I could be off, but that's my reasoning.
All right. Well, let's go with A, and we'll see that data categories wasn't the correct answer. It was record types. That is how those are classified in Lightning.
Just to be clear, so data categories, that's for search criteria, correct? Because you make the different.
You're going to test me on this one. I believe that if you are presenting knowledge to the public community, to Salesforce community, I believe data categories play into how those are seen on the community side. I'd have to do a little double checking on that one myself, but it's something I remember it. Data categories is a piece of the knowledge process.
Right. Because record types are for, we want frequently asked questions, or we want to have, it's the way you want to construct the knowledge article is how I remember it, versus the data categories, which is about access and search.
Hey, Carla, do you mind trying to see if you can look that up real quick, and then we'll come back to that?
Yeah, I was just looking that up.
I was trying to see if I had, I don't have a Salesforce org open, so.
Yeah.
All right, super. All right, Andrew, question number 2, if the price book is changed on an opportunity that has existing product line items, what will happen?
I think C.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I think it's A, that if you change the price book.
Oh yeah, I want to change my answer. A, deleted.
But that's what I think.
Okay. Anybody
Independent
else?
of George, though.
All right, let's go with A and see what we got. Very good choice. Well done. Any questions on that one? All right, George. At the beginning of every year, Universal Containers implements a price increase. They do this by creating a new custom price book. On January 1st, the prior year's price book is deactivated and the new price book is activated. What will happen to pricing on existing open opportunities?
I'm pretty sure the answer is E, nothing, because we just deactivated the previous year's price book. And so the open opportunities would be unchanged. Okay. I'm going to go with E.
All right. Well done. Nice. Marciana, you've got number 4. Universal Containers Human Resource Department wants to use native Salesforce to publish the employee handbook. Each policy needs to be approved prior to being published. They also want version control. Which Salesforce feature would best meet this requirement? And you are muted, Marciana, so just...
Sorry, I was still thinking.
Okay, no worries. You can phone a friend if you'd like.
Is it E?
Okay. App Exchange. Anyone want to jump in to assist?
I guess B.
Yeah.
B.
B?
B.
Okay.
Also, I would say knowledge, which is not a choice, but it seems to be
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, knowledge.
But given that knowledge is not on there, I think CRM content, because that's how you can control it by publishing to the library and version control. So of those choices, I'm sure AppExchange could do it too, but I would go CRM content because that's native functionality, although you do need to use the feature license.
Very good. Yep. So native being a keyword there. So that eliminates AppExchange. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead, and CRM content was the right answer. And we've got some resources there to help if you need them to kind of confirm that. Carla, any update on the data category?
Yeah, I posted a link in the chat.
Oh.
But it is, I think it was George that said it was around security or visibility.
Security. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Data categories for knowledge. Let's take a quick look at that.
Yeah, it says data categories are used for organizing knowledge-based content and providing a way to secure the access to the knowledge-based content.
Okay.
I forgot now what the question was that you had.
It was how articles are classified.
Okay,
for knowledge.
right. And I thought for that one it could have been article types.
Yeah, it was record types.
It was record types, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it used to be article types.
It
I think
is in Classic.
That's Classic.
Yes.
Okay.
Classic it was article types. Yes.
Oh, my age.
Get with it.
Thanks, Dan. This is recorded too.
Right. Right. Very good.
Yeah. So,
right, so
I think
categories.
that the record types was the best answer, but I think it can play a part in that.
Yeah, it could. It certainly could. All right. Very good. So that's the follow-up on that one. Question number 5 goes to Matt. Opportunity visibility is set to private. The executive team needs to see all data regardless of division, and users within that division should only see opportunities in their own division. Okay. Which of these processes would allow admins to implement the security model? There are 2 choices.
I'm going to say B and D.
Sharing roles and D, role hierarchy. Okay. Why are you choosing those 2?
Role hierarchy for the executive team, because as long as they're above them, they should be able to see it. And then the sharing rule to see within their own division.
Very good. Well done. All right. And Patrick, you're up next. Which declarative automation tool supports the creation of new records on any object? Then we have 2 choices here.
Is it B and C?
Okay, B and C.
I think it's C and E.
Yeah, C and E. Yep, good call. Declarative was the key word there. Yep. And Rebecca, we've got you for number 7. When creating a validation role, which of the following fields are required?
That would be C and E.
Yes. I believe that is correct. Good job.
Thank you.
Number 8, Rebecca, this goes to Scott and then Tanner after that. So which of the following are true about validation roles? Oh, we get 2 validation roles in a row.
B. Oh, there's 3. Okay.
Oh, 3. Yes, 3. Anyone want to assist?
B, C, D.
Okay, you got B, C, and D.
I would agree.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Well done, everybody. Nice team effort. And Tanner, number 9, which of the following are characteristics of a profile?
You select a role.
And there are 3 of them.
Sorry, I'm thinking. B.
You say B?
Or let's go E. I'm thinking about I don't think I ever set up a profile myself.
Oh,
I just use them.
yeah.
Tab visibility, C.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Oh. App launcher? Does that mean the apps that they have available?
Yep, that's what that would mean.
Okay, then I would go with D.
All right. Well done.
To work through it.
Sometimes it's a matter of elimination. So if you're not sure and you know that 1 or 2 of the responses are absolutely not true, then you can eliminate that and maybe come up with a little bit better guess. So that's a good approach. All right, Algie, we are back to you, starting with question number 10. VP of Marketing is using a spreadsheet to track marketing events they've hosted. He would like to start doing this in Salesforce, but is worried that people will enter duplicate event names. How could you help ease that concern? And there are 2 possible answers here.
Validation rule, option A or C, set up a matching rule, and A and C.
A and C. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, validation rule is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So configure the event name field to be both unique and required. All right, cool. And the reason that works is because we are up. He's tracking events in a spreadsheet. There's not a marketing event object per se, so we are creating a custom object. Gives us the ability to manage that. All right, Andrew. When creating custom relationship fields, only one object supports the hierarchical relationship. Which object is that?
Believe it's user C.
C. All right. Well done.
Yeah.
All right, George, and then Marciana after George. Tom's Used Cars wants to create the make model of cars they produce, or wants to capture the make and model of the cars that they purchase. Want to ensure the stored values in this field are uniformly captured. The ability to add additional make models will be delegated to a select group of non-system admins. What would you recommend to accomplish this? What would be the recommended design?
So I'm going to go with D, Delta, but I want to walk through the thought process. So A, you don't need to use custom metadata. So that I just throw that out right away. You definitely need to be thinking about pick lists, and there would be dependent because you have make model, that's dependent. But then they throw in this wrench about the select group of non-system admins having the ability to do some more configuration there. So that's not going to work. So that's why B is out. You'd have to go to the admin to add a new make or model or whatever it is. C, regex, which that's like for validating that the Social Security has the right number of digits or the zip code. So that doesn't make sense at all to me.
Okay.
So getting to D, if you create a custom object and then you create and edit rights with the permission set to those select group of non-system admins, then that's how you can continue to, without bothering the administrator, add more makes and models. But it'd always be a pick list, so you're not typing in the data. The users are going to have to choose from the pick list. So I'm going with D delta.
All right, very good. Well done. And Marciana, number 13, you've been given a set of requirements. One of the requirements states radio buttons must be used for data entry. As an admin, what declarative tool would meet that requirement?
I'm going to go with B, ScreenFlow.
All right, well done. Matt, and then Patrick after Matt. Your app dev environment includes multiple projects being built by admins and developers. Each project is built and unit tested in separate sandboxes. What would you recommend best practice prior to deploying changes to production?
I'm going to say A. I'm between A and B, but I'm going A.
Yeah, I was trying to think what the difference is. I wrote these, and I'm trying to figure out what I meant here too. Have the developers push changes to a combined test sandbox. Build their test classes there. This will speed up the development lifecycle. Okay. Have admins make simple changes to production. Why not do that one? I like C. I'm kidding. Use change sets to deploy changes from the developer sandboxes to productions. Okay. All right. Let's see what I had as the right answer. Very good.
Terry, this is George. Can we talk about this one? Because
yeah,
I was going with A too, but I was like Matt with between A and B. So the difference here is that the advantage of A is people have their own sandboxes, and then you push it into a combined sandbox to see how the configuration matches together if there's a problem. But B is wrong because you're unnecessarily pushing people to a combined sandbox when you don't have to. Is that why B is wrong?
I would argue that the building of the test classes there is what would be questionable.
Mm-hmm.
That I would think that should be done in your own dev sandbox and pushed.
I see. So it's
because you need to run your test classes.
Yeah, you want to validate your logic before you ever move it.
And the statement, this will speed up deployment lifecycle, I didn't really agree with that. So I think that's why I didn't go with B as well.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And I forgot where we were. Are we with Patrick now?
Me.
All right. Peter, a sales rep with Universal Containers, manually shared read-only access to an account record with Mary. Peter later leaves the company and his accounts are all randomly reassigned. What will Mary's access to the account now be?
I believe A. It's manually shared.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I think it's D.
I agree with Scott.
That was the two I was between.
Sharing so even if someone gets reassigned, that can affect it too. So it's very tenuous.
Yeah, it's because of that manual sharing. D will be the correct answer. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Rebecca, Universal Containers is implementing territory management and opportunities are private. The VP of Sales wants the sales reps to have read-only access to opportunities within their territory. Which option accomplishes this requirement? Now, you're a territory person, if I remember right. You were kind of our expert on this. I'm hoping maybe I got the right answer.
Me, I'm not an expert.
You're not? Okay, I was thinking you did the. I was thinking you were the one that did the territory management presentation, so I had you wrong. All right.
Nope.
Let's see.
I'm bound to get this one wrong. I think to me it sounds like territory assignment rules.
He wants the sales reps to have read-only access. Territory set up territory assignment rules. Okay. Anyone else has thoughts on this one?
I think the assignment rules assign the opportunity to a territory.
Okay.
So I think it might be D.
Assign each sales rep to the territory. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm going with Matt as well. I don't think that's what the
Okay.
territory assignment rules do.
All right. Going once. D, assign each sales rep to the territory. Very good. Nobody seemed overly confident on that one. All right, Scott. And then followed by Tanner. Universal Containers is implementing territory management. The VP of Sales has created a Northern and Southern California territory. They are children to the California territory. When setting up territory assignment rules, which of the following is true? There is one.
Leaning towards B, but there's some of the yeah, going with B.
With B?
Yeah.
B. B as in boy. All right. Children territories can inherit the parent. So we talked about this one in one of our groups, specifically where we had California territory would be set up as state equals California, and then its children would be wouldn't have to also say California in their criteria because they're going to inherit that piece of it from its parents. So well done, Tanner. Universal Containers HR department wants to have a way for employees to confidentially report inappropriate behavior. Because of the sensitivity of these records, only the employee filing the complaint and HR are allowed to see them.
I am looking at D and E as my options.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with E.
E. Very good. Any questions on that one?
Again, Terry, just to talk through it, I think E, I agree with the answer, but it has to be a custom object to uncheck that box. So if it's a standard object, you don't have that ability. And then D would work, but now you've screwed up
Everything else.
processes and all those other stuff.
Right.
So D would solve this use case and create 15 new problems.
Actually, that would not necessarily, that wouldn't do it because of role hierarchies. If this doesn't control visibility at all from the
Can you
manager.
talk about that manager field
Yeah.
and what that does do?
Yeah, I thought that was for approval processes, no?
That's for approval processes, yes. But the question here was specifically removing visibility.
No, right. But if you did D,
yes.
if you chose that answer, the manager would not see, oh, I see what you're saying, because that's coming from the role hierarchy.
Yep. Yeah.
So D is just flat out wrong.
Right.
Not solve the problem. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's that manager field do? Anybody want to take that? We've already mentioned approval processes. Does it serve any other purpose?
You can use it in like flows as well. You know, you can always grab that ID of that user if you need to send an email or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just additional information kind of thing wherever you happen to need it.
Yeah, it shows up on that user. I don't want to use the word profile, but like when you look at a user record in the UI, not in setup, I think it's also shown there where you can like customize what your description is and your phone number as a user, you know?
Yeah. There's like when you're running reports too, there's like a my team.
Oh, right. Yes.
Down. Is that?
Oh, no,
yeah.
that's actually role hierarchy.
Is that role hierarchies? That's what I thought.
Role hierarchy for my team. Yeah.
Got it.
It's a good thought though. Yeah. Role hierarchy. All right. I forget where we left off. Was that one yours, Tanner?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So back up to algae. Hopefully I'm not skipping anybody. Number 19. Access to Trailmaster Outdoor customer community is granted to members of their loyalty program. The program allows family members access as well. All members of the family are listed as contacts under the same account and should be allowed visibility to support cases created by others in the family. What sharing method supports this capability?
Confusing question.
This is a little bit trickier question. Anyone who want to add some supportive advice?
Since we're talking communities, I'm thinking sharing sets.
Okay.
I agree with George.
Agree with George. You want to go with the recommendation, Algie?
Yeah.
All right, sharing sets, good. Sharing sets is the right answer. Do we know why? Why would it not be sharing roles?
A sharing set will grant them access to more than just the account. So a sharing rule might just grant to the account. The sharing set will grant it to like the account and the related items.
Yeah. Sharing role, you'd have to have a sharing role for every family member in order for that to work, which wouldn't be realistic. Case teams, that's internal access. Account teams, again, internal. Public groups, community members, I believe, can they be in a public group? I'm trying to remember.
I think they can for like chatter.
I think they can
maybe?
too. Yeah, I was thinking that they could be, but
That'd be hard to manage.
Yeah, it would require us to have sharing roles with that as well. So a group by itself would not do it. All right, Andrew. Alex temporarily needs access to Mary's new opportunities. Opportunities are set to private. What security method would be best to allow this?
I think you go with C.
Anybody have any other thoughts? I'm trying to think through this one too. And
I think B would also work, but
B.
B.
security method would be best.
I'm thinking D delta because that would give access to all of Mary's opportunities, and then you could just take Alex off the opportunity team when this temporary need is over.
Okay. Well done. Good job. And George?
So CloudCakes would like to make their knowledge base publicly available on their customer community. Well, you definitely have to do D, enable knowledge topics, but let me keep looking at this.
Let's choose one.
Because OWD, there's internal and external, so that's how you can set OWD for your external users. Allow anonymous access makes no sense. Sharing set makes no sense. And sharing. So I'm not sure what, I'm going to stick with D. You have to enable knowledge topics to do this, but then you still would have to go into your OWD settings for external users for the knowledge object, right? So that's another, you have to do D, but there could be more to think about if you were really doing this. So I'm going to go with D.
All right, very good.
Anything else, Terry? I mean, since you wrote the question and because thinking through the process, I'm not interested in, just trying to, I want to truly understand. So wouldn't OWDs be part of the solution as well? Because if you set it to private, then it's not going to, and I know the OWD and external cannot be more permissive than it is on the internal side. So you always have to look at your internal and your external settings. That's another thing to consider. But
Carla, you're actively looking that one up? Okay, good. So let's come back to that one. I don't know that off the top of my head on the OWD. This would be org-wide defaults, grant read on the org-wide default. So that would impact both internal and no, not necessarily, because you have control over internal and external differently. We'll let Carla find that logic, and we will go on to Marciana. Versus major audits cases, the results of their audits are stored on the case, but should only be visible to the audit team. How would you address this requirement?
They mean case records.
Yes, case records, and there are fields added to the case that should only be visible to the audit team.
I'm thinking page if there's certain fields, I'm thinking page layout. Like there's a certain, is it a certain section that has the audit information, or are we talking the whole case record? Or am I thinking too deep into this?
Thinking too deep, probably. That's a challenge that I always have taking these, because when I read the question, sometimes I want to overanalyze it. So that you've got a group of people auditing cases. The results of their audit are stored on the case. So that implies that we must have fields on the case that is storing that information. And only that audit team should see those fields.
Okay, so then A, field level security.
Yeah, field level security is right. Well done. Let's do one more, and then we will see if Carla's got an answer on the, I already forgot what the topic was she's even looking for. So Matt, you're up with this one. Alex created a new account. When he clicks into the type field, he doesn't see the pick list values he's expecting. What might be a reason for this?
I'm going to say B, record types.
Well done. B, record types would do that. Excellent. Any luck, Carla?
Little. I found a little paragraph in a thread.
Okay.
But yeah, it's wanting to make knowledge public, right? And they're talking about like an actual public knowledge base, the whole thing, right? In a community.
Yeah.
So it said that you need to make sure that public users can access the community checkbox is checked on the community.
Okay.
And then make sure the public knowledge base channel is checked in classic knowledge. And then making sure the public user profile has access to the desired article types. Again, classic knowledge on the profile level.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
Yeah. So I think the answer was article types, right? That you had, and that's a classic.
I don't remember what the question, how it was worded. So George, was that your question that you had? Were you the one that had that?
It was, you're trying to make a knowledge base publicly accessible to your community page.
Yeah. And what feature did you have to enable for that?
You had to enable knowledge to do that. So clearly you have to enable knowledge, but obviously there's more to do to make this happen. And that's why I was trying to figure out why the OWD part. But if you had to pick one of those choices, it's clearly you don't have knowledge enabled, you can't do anything.
That's true. That's true.
Yep. All right, very
it's kind
good.
of obscure.
Yes. Shame on whoever wrote that question.
No, these are great, Terry, because again, it's just the thinking through, because you're
right.
It is. It absolutely is.
This is a limitation. This is a constraint. This will work, but not in this case. So it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, it is. Very good. Well, we have 5 minutes remaining here with our group. I'm going to stop recording and just give us a chance to kind of encourage each other as we move forward, taking the exam. Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits, and this is our final recording in the Advanced Admin Study Group series that we did with, I think we started with 18 or so people. We ended up with about 12, I think, that graduated. We'll go with 12, not about 12. It's hard to be a not something, so you can't be a half. So we'll go with 12. And that's stupid. We're not going to say that online. That's just dumb. Hey everyone, it's Terry's with Terry's. It's Terry's